And a beautiful weekend to you all. After 56 days in captivity, dozens of adopted school children and teachers from Oyo State are finally free. The Nigerian Army says a month-long intelligence operation involving multiple security agencies forced the kidnappers to release the victims without the payment or ransom or any concessions. The operation has reignited discussions about insecurity in Nigerian schools, the growing threat of terrorist groups expanding beyond the country's northeast, and the continued challenge of protecting students from mass adoptions. The Nigerian Army announced that 44 pupils and teachers kidnapped in Oyo State have regained their freedom, following what it described as a carefully planned intelligence-driven operation lasting more than a month. The victims were adopted on the 15th of May, when heavily armed gunmen stormed 3 schools in Oriri local government area of Oyo State. The attackers struck Community Grammar School, Baptist Nursery and Primary School, and LA Primary School in the Isiele and Yawota communities, taking away dozens of pupils and teachers into nearby forests. The attack shocked Nigeria. Mass kidnappings of students have become a recurring security challenge in recent years, but such incidents have been relatively uncommon in the southwest compared to the country's northwest and northeast. This latest operation, according to the Army, involved troops led by the General Officer Commanding of the 2nd Division, Major General Chinedu Nnebife. Military officials says the mission brought together an unprecedented coalition of security institutions. These include the National Counter-Terrorism Center under the Office of the National Security Advisor, Special Forces from the Nigerian Army, Navy and Air Force, the Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Services, the National Intelligence Agencies, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Amotekun Corps, local vigilantes, and community hunters. Rather than launching an immediate assault on the kidnappers' camps, officials say the strategy focused on dismantling the group's entire operational network. Security forces reportedly spent weeks tracking the terrorist cell responsible for the kidnapping. The operation targeted not only the armed fighters, but also their logistics suppliers, informants, financial support systems, and forest hideouts. According to the Army, several suspects were arrested across Oyo State and in other parts of Nigeria during the operation. Those arrests, military officials say, crippled the group's ability to operate. With their network disrupted and sustained pressure from security agencies, the kidnappers were eventually forced to release the captive unconditionally. The Army says no negotiation resulted in concessions to the terrorists. Officials also stressed that the rescue operation was carefully executed to avoid civilian casualties. However, the military acknowledged that some members of the security forces suffered casualties during the mission, although no further details have been released. Following their rescue, the freed pupils and teachers were taken to an undisclosed medical facility where they are receiving treatment and psychological support before being reunited with their families through the Oyo State government. The rescue, however, comes after a painful ordeal that claimed lives. During the initial attack in May, the assistant headmaster of LA Primary School, Joel Adesiyan, was reportedly shot and killed while attempting to escape. Another teacher, Michael Oyedokun, was allegedly beheaded by the kidnappers during the weeks of captivity. Those deaths have cast a shadow over what is otherwise being celebrated as a significant security success. One aspect of the announcement has also raised questions. The Nigerian Army stated that 44 pupils and teachers were rescued. However, earlier official records indicated that 46 people had originally been adopted, including 39 pupils and 7 teachers. The difference appears to correspond to the 2 teachers who lost their lives during the incident, although the Army has not explicitly clarified the discrepancy. Meanwhile, the presidency has presented additional details about the operation. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed that all surviving victims had been rescued. He also disclosed that 8 suspected kidnappers have been arrested and are currently in the custody of the Department of State Services. According to Onanuga, several other members of the criminal gang were neutralized during the security operation. Perhaps the most significant revelation concerns the kidnappers' demands. Authorities say the federal government refused to yield to pressure from the terrorists. According to officials, the kidnappers had demanded the release of a Boko Haram commander currently standing trial for terrorism offenses. The government rejected that demand. Officials insist that no ransom was paid and no prisoner exchange took place. President Bola Tinubu also addressed the nation following confirmation of the rescue. In a statement released shortly after the operation, the president described the development as a major victory for Nigerian security agencies. He praised the military, intelligence services, and law enforcement agencies for their coordination and professionalism. The president reiterated that the rescued pupils and teachers were freed alive and unharmed. He also emphasized that the government made no concessions to the kidnappers. Tinubu further directed emergency response agencies to work alongside the Oyo State government in providing medical treatment, counseling, and other forms of support for the rescued victims. He also pledged that justice will be pursued for those responsible for the killings committed during the attack, including the murder of teacher Michael Ayodokun. The army, in its statement, thanked President Tinubu for what it described as strategic guidance throughout the operation. Military authorities also acknowledged the support of Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Directors General of the DSS, and the National Intelligence Agency, along with other participating security organizations. Officials further praised local communities, vigilante groups, and hunters whose intelligence reportedly played an important role in locating the kidnappers. The army has indicated that security operations are not over. Military officials say further raids and arrests are expected as authorities continue efforts to dismantle the remaining elements of the terrorist network believed to be operating within the old Oyo National Park and surrounding forest corridors. The rescue has also renewed concerns over school security across Nigeria. Over the past several years, armed groups have repeatedly targeted educational institutions, forcing thousands of students out of classrooms and raising fears among parents. Although authorities have recorded several successful rescue operations, security analysts continue to warn that preventing future kidnappings will require stronger intelligence gathering, improved rural policing, tighter border surveillance, and sustained pressure on criminal and terrorist networks. However, families in Oyo State are celebrating the return of loved ones after 56 days of uncertainty, while investigators continue pursuing those responsible for one of the region's most alarming school adoptions. With the victims now safe and investigations continuing, attention will turn to whether this operation marks a turning point in Nigeria's fight against kidnapping and terrorism, or simply another chapter in a long-running security challenge. Stay with us for more updates from across Africa and around the world. I'm Chidera Esom. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next reports.